Welcome back to A Drop of Happy, where we focus on carefree, stress well, light and lively living while reviewing and discussing all things entertainment and wellness. And I'm recording in a different place, and I'm not a fan about it because my laptop is really loud. So if you hear that, I'm sorry, I don't know how to not make it loud. I guess it's probably the fan to keep it cool or whatever. Anyway, uh, I it's a lot of things going on. If you haven't been by, I've the last thing I published was Wind Down with Entertainment Rewind 4. Then I did a review on Kiki Palmer, One of Them Days, which if you haven't seen, you should see because it's cute, it's funny, and it's a load off. And we need that. Also, the soundtrack for Mufasa, because Mufasa the Lion King was so good. Um, oh, so I haven't really done a wellness review article. That's next. With that being said, lots of things going on. Just a reminder once again to take care of yourself, practice some mindfulness, practice some stress relieving activities, some stress management. Um, what are you doing to decompress? I am embroiling myself in entertainment, numbing the pain. I don't know, whatever, if that's what you want to call it. But I went to the movies. Um, I hadn't. Did I intend to go to the movies? I did. I just didn't intend to see what I went to see. So the Wolfman, starring Julia Garner and Christopher Abbott, it's been out for a few weeks now. It was released in the US July 17th, and truth be told, it kind of had a lackluster box office opening weekend. Just getting just a little over 10 million. Currently, it's sitting around like 28 million, which is kind of mid performance. I think the budget was around 28 million. So, and then it also, critic wise, like review wise, it's kind of mid performance on Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb. So, not terrible, but you know, not like a 3 or 4. But obviously, I guess it could have been better. So the movie basically follows a family who return to like this way far out, secluded part of a place, to kind of take care of family affairs because they had a relative that passed. And while they're in this, basically out in the boonies, out in the woods, all crazy things happen when you're out in the woods. They encounter a ferocious beast, and basically have to fight for their lives to get through the night. So if you don't know, you may already know. I don't do scary movies. I don't do scary movies. I don't do sad movies. I don't do heart make you cry movies. I don't do them. I don't do them. I don't do um, slave movies anymore. I've done plenty. I've done plenty. And a few years ago, I just decided, you know what? I'm not going to willingly see that. And really, I don't do horror because my anxiety is just too much, which is weird because I'll do sci-fi and I'll do action and I'll probably even do a little thriller, but I don't like horror. And there was a time when I would have been all over it, but that time is gone. Okay. So of course, did I have any interest in seeing this? No, but I kind of ended up watching it by default. The timing was right, and we didn't really want to watch anything else, so we were like, psh, okay, fine, let's go see this. But lo and behold, I was actually pleasantly surprised and ended up enjoying it. Uh, I don't know if I consider it. I mean, it definitely has horror elements, but I would still consider it more thriller than horror. But mm, Yeah, no, it is a horror. I just didn't think of it that way. It did have me on the edge of my seat. So that was really good. The acting was well done. Christopher Abbott. Um, and you know what? I usually kind of like recognize people a little bit. I don't know who this man is. Sorry to this man. In the words of Kiki Palmer, I really don't know him. So I'm gonna go and look up some more stuff about him, figure out, okay, what other stuff has he played in? Because I I don't know. I don't know him. Uh Apart from doing that, he did a phenomenal job, actually. Julia Garner, she was solid as well. And the little girl that played their daughter, Matilda Firth, she did a pretty good job of portraying a scared and confused daughter. And let me be for real. I usually find kids in movies, I usually find them annoying. I do. I do. I find them super annoying. So, you know, but I didn't find her annoying. I thought she was, even when they're appropriate, I just didn't find her annoying. So I don't know if it's due to her acting or due to the writing. And Wolfman was just creepy enough and just thrilling enough to keep me engaged, but not to completely turn me off. The pacing was very well done, I thought. Y'all know pacing is a really big deal for me because I get bored. They kind of, at times, they kind of let you into like a false sense of security, like a false lull, like, okay, right before they make you jump, right before they do something that you're going to be like, oh, what, what just happened? I also enjoyed how they kind of let us see things from the Wolfman's perspective, which was interesting and different, but also kind of contributed to having us, the viewer and the audience, feel a little closer to what was happening on screen. At least that's kind of how I felt. It I felt like it allowed me to connect a little bit better. But also the scenery was uh it was kind of bleak. To me, it had like bleak, which I guess fit. I guess fit. The scenery was not enough character. Like it didn't really stand out, so it was appropriate. It wasn't, whatever. To me, it was a solid 7 out of 10. Maybe even a 7.5 out of 10, but definitely no less than the 7 for me. If you haven't seen it, if you like a thriller, uh, it's not super scary, but it does get your heart pumping. I would definitely recommend to go see this one. If, like me, you didn't really think anything of it or give it much thought. Think, oh, I'm not gonna see this. Yes, you should go see this. Or if it comes out on streaming because it's been a few weeks and I don't think they probably don't think it's doing that great, you should go see it. Solid 7 out of 10. Now, please like, share, subscribe because we're moving into the spoiler portion. I'm gonna tell you about it. Tell you the stuff that I really liked about it. So spoilers ahead. If you're so not interested. If you don't care, I'm gonna tell you all about it. So the movie starts off with a young Blake and his father. They're hunting in the forest, and his father's like a little stern with him a little bit, but at the same time, Blake is like a G because he's like, oh, they see this deer, and so the father goes to shoot the deer or whatever, and then Blake runs off all by himself to get it from a different angle, which I'm like, bruh, that couldn't be me, but he did. So he got a little chutzpah. He got a little, and then while he's doing that, he sees something, right? And that's like the first area where you kind of like jump a little because you're like, oh, what's that? Did he really see what he saw? And he's probably wondering the same thing. So then like they live literally out in the middle of the boonies. His father, who does seem to have some knowledge of the beast, like it gets really scary and they both realize there's something out there with them, and it ain't no deer, right? So he at one point says, "Oh, it's a bear," because they go up into this I don't know, like it looks like a tree house, but I guess it's like a lookout for when they're hunting or whatever. So to escape the beast, because now the beast is chasing them in the forest, right? Or it's not so clear, but something is chasing them in the forest. Anyway, they go up there, and the dad's like looking through his scope, and the dad sees it, and the thing's clearly trying to attack him. So the dad tells Blake, "Oh, it's a bear." Anyway, I guess the thing leaves, and they finally get home, and Blake's dad is like on a ham radio or something. That's how they communicate because they're on the boonies, and he overhears his father vowing to kill the beast. So he knows it's something, and he's like, "I'm gonna get it. Like I'm gonna get it." Uh, and then you see some articles where it's kind of like hinting at maybe it's a disease. Anyway, fast forward to years later, Blake is a full grown adult with a child of his own and a family of his own. The problem is, he's kind of struggling. He's a writer in between jobs, and he's kind of playing stay at home dad to his daughter. His wife seems to be like this. I guess she's a journalist, or I think she's an editor or something. Or maybe she's a journalist and she has an editor, whatever. But obviously she works a lot, because he's just like, yo, you know, I told you not to be doing all this working, whatever, whatever. So they're kind of there's a little tension. They're struggling relationship wise. So there's a little something something. Then he gets word that his father passed away. So Blake kind of suggests to Charlotte that they take some time to reconnect. They can go to his childhood home and spend some time there, reconnect as a family. And he's telling him how beautiful the place is. And there's this one area where the view is just outstanding, yada, yada, yada. We can go there and settle in while I take care of my dad's affairs. At first, she's like, nah, but then she reluctantly agrees, and they go off to this remote place in the boonies, in the boonies of the boonies, really, right? So while driving there, they get there, and then Blake kind of gets lost. So he ends up in the neighbor's driveway where he thinks is the driveway, but he's just like, oh, this don't look right. I don't think this is right. So, but it's the neighbors, which neighbor is loosely because, again, it's the boonies and it's a lot of land in between, but he's definitely in the wrong spot. It's not like, oh, I went to the neighbor's house and I could just walk over. No, you got to drive. So he's in the wrong space. But while he's there, there's somebody in another one of those, we're going to call them hunting tree houses, right? And he's a little weird too. So it is his childhood friend, probably the kid of whoever his dad called back in the day. Anyway, he obviously they didn't really keep in touch because he's kind of acting a little funny, and he's a little cold, but he's just a little weird. So anyway, he gets in the car. He's just like, nah, this is not your street, player. But I'll take you there. So he gets in the car to take him, and they're kind of making small talk. But he's a little weird. He's a little cold. He's just like, we don't stay out here past the dark, which, okay, I get that. And then Charlotte is trying to engage in a conversation because he's asking Blake about himself and what he does, whatever. And Blake's like, yeah, I'm kind of between jobs. This is when you kind of learn a little bit more about what's going on with Blake as far as professional wise. And then Charlotte's just like, oh, yeah, I'm a journalist too. And he just stares at her like, "And what? I wasn't talking to you." So awkward. So they're driving, and then a Blake sees something just standing there in the middle of the road. So he swerves, and um, what happens? So they get into an accident. It reminds me of, remember, oh, I think it was called Beast. It was with Idris Elba, and it was about uh, a lion in the middle of the forest that was hell bent on killing everybody. Anyway, it was the same thing. Like they were driving and he veered off. Anyway, I digress. So they veer off, right? And the truck is like hanging, like it's almost like it's not just over a cliff, but it's in a really bad position and it's like up. So the neighbor, which is Derek, falls out of the truck, and I guess he's hurt pretty bad because he's not moving. Uh, so so Blake is like trying to wake up his family so they can get out the car, whatever, so they can, because it's not safe. But then the beast comes for them. He attacks the truck while trying to get to Charlotte and Ginger and Blake. Ginger's the name of the daughter. Um, and the beast is seen attacking Derek and then dragging him away. And I'm like clawing Derek up, like clawing the hell out of Derek. So at this point, Blake is just trying to protect his family. While he's doing that, he appears to get cut by glass. Okay? They end up escaping, like running for their lives. So, and they find the house because they probably weren't that far. So they found the house. They found the house and they kind of make their way while running away from the beast because the beast is like, oh, I'm getting y'all. I'm getting y'all. In the house, Blake is like working on securing the house because she's like, yo, you think that's going to hold? He's like moving things around. He's like, I don't know. But he's trying to secure the house so the beast doesn't get in because he's like, yo, I want y'all. I'm going to eat y'all. I don't know if he's going to eat y'all. I don't know what he's going to do, but he wants them. Now Blake starts to like exhibit some weird things. Like he's not feeling well. He's starting to hear things. He's having like auditory something something, and then his teeth just like falls out because he's hungry and he's like, I'm gonna eat something, and then he's like, oh shoot. He's like, oh, I must have hit my jaw on the steering wheel or something like that. But now he's looking kind of sick. And they realize that he's been hurt. And the wife is just like, it's on his arm. And the wife is just like, that's not glass. Like, that's not glass. Anyway, they go through trying to secure the house, blah, blah, blah. What's his name is starting to look sickly. And the beast, through what looks like a pet opening or something like that, basically attacks Blake again. And Charlotte, like the beast is grabbing Blake out the thing. And Charlotte finds a hammer and like hammers him. And then the beast leaves, like tries, leaves, whatever. So as things move along, Blake is getting worse. At one point, like he hears this loud noise. Why is it a spider? But he hears, it's a big spider now because I would have died. But he hears the footsteps of the spider. That's how acute his hearing is becoming. Like it's going in and out, but like it was just a really weird scene, but it was a good scene. It was a good scene. Um, so all this, they're trying to fight off the beast, and Charlotte realizes that Blake is infected by it and possibly turning into one himself because she's trying to call for help, and she's like, listen, my husband, he got scratched. I think he's infected. Well, I think he's turning into the beast. And at one point, Blake attempts to gnaw his arm off. Honestly, I don't know what the deal was because she, like, maybe it was hurting, maybe it was painful because it was bleeding. It was bleeding profusely, and so Charlotte went and took off the band-aid, and then he just flipped and started eating his arm. He stopped. He still had his arm, but it was weird. It was disturbing. It was ugh. So anyway, throughout, he's trying to stop the urge to attack his own family. He's losing bodily functions. He can't speak anymore, and he still understands them, but he's having increasing difficulty understanding them, like really, really bad. Eventually, he ends up facing the beast and killing it while there's still some humanity left in him. After killing the beast, he realizes that the beast is actually his daddy. So his daddy had been missing for a while, like, and they finally declared him dead after him being missing for a while. And so he's thinking he's coming up there to they take care of his daddy's stuff. They never found the body, whatever. Well, because he had a tattoo, and the beast had the same tattoo. He realizes, oh my God, the beast that I just killed was my daddy. At some point during all this, he like runs away from the family so he doesn't hurt them, because he's realizing like he's trying to attack them and stuff like that. Unfortunately, while he's away, he fully becomes Wolfman himself. So now he's like, huh, he's taking over on the mission, because his target is now Charlotte and Ginger. So they escape to the woods. Um, and really the story comes full circle. First of all, Charlotte is badass. I'm gonna say this. Some of the stuff, like I'm leaving out some stuff, like, but she's she's doing all she can to stay alive and to keep her daughter alive. I will say that. And she was doing all she could. Like you could tell she really cared about her husband, but because she was doing all she could to save that man as well. But at some point, you gotta let go. So anyway, her and the daughter trying to run, they escape into the woods, which I'm like, oh my God, what y'all gonna do in the woods? So they end up finding the gun that Derek had, because Derek was out there hunting or whatever. So they end up finding the gun that Derek had. She does. And it comes full circle because she's back to, well, it looks like where the dad and Blake were in the beginning, the little hunter treehouse, that's what I'm calling it. So there is a moment right before Charlotte shoots him, because she has to shoot him, where she notices the anguish and the pain that Blake is actually in, with little sliver of Blake, but that's not enough. That's not enough, because he was about to attack him and he was about to kill him. So she shot him. She shot him because he was climbing up the treehouse thing, and he fell, but he was dead. They had some time to have some weird tender moments, but he was dead. So, and they left happily. I mean, I don't know, not happily after, but the beast was dead. Um, Nothing to indicate that like either one of them got scratched and blah blah blah. The story's gonna continue. But if they wanted to do a part two, they definitely could do a Wolfman 2. Wolfman, I don't know. There are a few things that I did appreciate about the film. So while the infection was like taking its toll and working on Blake, and he was becoming the beast, there were moments that the audience got to experience things from his perspective. So we got to see how his vision was changing, how he saw his family, and even how his communication impairment affected him. Um, and we got to see how he was losing understanding, because they let us see things and experience things from his perspective. The other aspect was, again, I felt like it was a touch unnecessary, gruesome, but it was good. It fit. It was good. So, and the audience, I felt like the audience, because they did this thing that I'm about to tell you, that the audience was able to understand that this man was literally departing from humanity. Because remember, I told you that he was like trying to gnaw his arm off, right? So during all this, Charlotte had set up a bear trap. So they were kind of hidden in another area. Charlotte set up a bear trap, and Blake, now Wolfman, ended up stepping in the bear trap. So again, they had hinted at this earlier, but I wasn't expecting this. So Blake, in order to get out of the bear trap, started gnawing at his leg, like just at his leg, until his foot was completely severed from his body so he could continue pursuing Charlotte and Ginger. Like, it was very disturbing, and you were just like, oh my God. I really couldn't fully watch it, but at the same time, definitely drove the point home that this person is no longer human, because who would do that? Who would do that? And then hobble your way, not even hobble, because at this point he's crawling on all fours because he can't walk, because he gnawed off his foot, gnawed it off, no foot, gone. He did that. But he's like, oh, ooh, just thinking about it. Ugh. The last aspect um, that I really appreciated was the idea of protecting one's family and how far could a person push themselves to do that, right? In the case of Charlotte, like she was like, I'm she stepped it up, right? And then on the flip side, in the case of Blake, how much can one withstand in order to protect their family? Like, because obviously he was fundamentally, physically, all that changing into this beast, but he was still able to hold on a little bit, not, at some point to have the wherewithal to move away from them because he's like, I'm gonna hurt them. But how far? Like it just points out that, protecting family, if you have whatever your family is considered, whatever your network is, that protecting that space is super, 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 super important. So again, I felt like it was solid. There were a lot of things that I liked about it. The acting, no questions, nothing was missing, no gaps or anything like that. um yeah, solid 7 out of 10. So if you want to check it out, you know you like that kind of stuff, you should check it out. Remember to live light, stress well. Follow on all social media at Lightevi, Litevi. Visit the podcast, visit the website www.lightevi.com, Litevi, and the podcast, A Drop of Happy, where most streaming, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, whatever, all of it. Um, So please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Comment what you liked about the movie, what you didn't like about the movie, if you're going to see the movie. And just remember to live light and stress well. Thank you for listening and come on back.